The Roman Empire amazes the imagination with its scale and engineering achievements. Millions of people lived in conditions that today seem like an incredible challenge for infrastructure. Huge masses of people had to be accommodated somewhere in a limited area, and the solutions of ancient builders in many ways surpassed some modern concepts of urban planning. Modern people are accustomed to the comfort of concrete boxes and central utilities. People consider their multi-story complexes to be the pinnacle of architectural thought. But this concept is not an exclusive invention of the age of concrete and steel. Ancient engineers successfully implemented similar large-scale projects 2,000 years ago. The architecture of the past conceals a huge number of forgotten technologies and pragmatic solutions. What seems innovative today often has its strict ancient counterparts. Life in a huge, overpopulated metropolis required harsh and uncompromising methods of survival, and these methods are striking in their mathematical precision and cruel logic. Much of this knowledge has been forgotten, and ancient approaches seem paradoxical to modern people. However, the logic of space distribution in antiquity was based on pure pragmatism. Studying these systems allows us to take a completely different look at the evolution of human housing. Here it is worth examining in detail how the ancient real estate market functioned. Ancient Rome was a city of sharp social contrasts and incredible density. The population of the capital reached 1 million people, and everyone needed a reliable roof over their heads. The urban space could not expand indefinitely due to massive defensive walls. Therefore, society was forced to divide into two completely different types of residents. The elite of ancient society chose maximum space and physical isolation from the crowd. Wealthy citizens lived in luxurious mansions, officially called domus. These were spacious private houses designed exclusively for one wealthy family. Such a level of privacy was considered an unattainable luxury for the vast majority of the population. Ordinary townspeople lived in completely different, extreme living conditions. The working class and the poor huddled together in giant apartment complexes. These massive structures were called insulae in architecture. In these crowded anthills, the real harsh life of the huge Roman metropolis was in full swing. The word insula itself literally translates from Latin as island. This name appeared in the architectural lexicon for a reason. Huge residential complexes often occupied an entire city block. They truly towered over the narrow streets, like stone islands in an ocean of people. Modern developers proudly call this approach neighborhood development. Roman engineers simply considered it a harsh demographic necessity. The city needed to accommodate the maximum workforce in the minimum available space. Insulae brilliantly solved this complex logistical and spatial problem. The difference in quality of life between the two types of housing was enormous. Owners of domus enjoyed absolute silence behind thick, deaf stone walls. Insula dwellers faced deafening noise, dirt, and unbearable cramped conditions on a daily basis. It was a daily test of physical and psychological endurance. Roman architects were well aware of the technical complexity of the situation. The construction of mass housing required standardization of processes and rigorous mathematical calculations. Insulae were built en masse from cheap brick, Roman concrete, and wood. The quality of the materials depended directly on the greed of the particular developer. Sometimes entire city districts consisted exclusively of such giant apartment buildings. The streets between them turned into dark, frightening, narrow stone gorges. Sunlight struggled to reach the lower levels of these labyrinths. The urban environment dictated its own harsh rules of daily survival. Today, sociologists would write dozens of scientific dissertations about such social inequality. The Romans, however, perceived this gap as an absolutely natural order of things. No one expected justice from the harsh and pragmatic ancient world. Each citizen survived solely within the limits of their personal financial capabilities. This uncompromising division created a unique, vibrant urban ecosystem. Wealth and extreme poverty existed literally on neighboring narrow streets, and this incredible population density gave rise to the following amazing engineering phenomenon. The city, limited in territory, had to grow rapidly, not in width, but in height. The acute shortage of available land forced Roman engineers to look up to the sky. This is how the world's first true multi-story skyscrapers of the ancient era appeared. Insulae began to grow rapidly upwards, reaching incredible and frightening heights. Buildings 6 or even 7 stories high became the norm. For the ancient world, such vertical scales seemed like absolute architectural fantasy. Building to such heights required a deep understanding of the principles of weight distribution. Modern skyscrapers are held securely in place by a powerful steel internal frame. The Romans had only stone, primitive concrete, and wood at their disposal. Wooden floors often could not withstand the enormous static load. Greedy developers constantly skimped on materials, erecting load-bearing walls that were too thin. Because of this, high-rise buildings became extremely unstable and deadly dangerous. The collapse of a multi-story building was a common occurrence in the news reports of the time. Constant construction disasters forced the government to intervene harshly in the business. Emperor Augustus was forced to personally introduce a strict law limiting height. He categorically prohibited the construction of residential buildings higher than 21 meters. This roughly corresponds to the parameters of a modern 5- or 6-story concrete building. This forced restriction saved thousands of lives of ordinary Roman citizens. Before this law was passed, brick monsters regularly collapsed right on the heads of passers-by. Roman historical chronicles are full of dry reports of suddenly collapsing buildings. Life in an overpopulated metropolis was dangerous even during a simple walk down the street. Modern strict building codes often seem like boring paperwork. In ancient Rome, they were literally written in the blood of the residents of collapsed neighborhoods. Engineers had to constantly seek a compromise between maximum profit and the laws of gravity, and the laws of physics regularly won this brutal economic dispute. Even after the introduction of imperial restrictions, insulae remained gigantic structures. The facades of these buildings visually dominated the narrow streets of the Roman capital. The city turned into a veritable stone labyrinth with high, sheer walls. It was easy to get lost in these artificial gorges. The foundations of such large-scale structures were laid at an enormous, unprecedented depth. Ancient builders used incredibly durable Roman concrete for the foundations of their structures. This unique material only gained strength over time, chemically absorbing moisture. Thanks to this composition, some of the foundations of ancient insulae have been reliably preserved to this day. High-rise mass construction created a completely new, atypical urban dynamic. People learned en masse to exist in a dense, multi-level vertical space. This required the formation of new rules of social behavior and complex logistics, and this gave rise to the most paradoxical real estate rental market in world history. The pricing logic in these buildings completely breaks with modern established stereotypes. What is considered elite panoramic housing today was an absolute curse back then. The height of an apartment directly determined the social status of its tenant. Moreover, this dependence was completely opposite to modern ideas about prestige. The modern global real estate market literally idolizes the upper floors. A luxurious penthouse with a panoramic view of the city costs millions of dollars. In ancient Rome, the laws of pricing worked exactly the opposite way. The higher the apartment was located, the cheaper its monthly rent was. The richest and most influential residents of the insula always occupied the first floor. Here were spacious, safe apartments with very high ceilings. Often, these elite premises had their own stone terraces and separate exits. Living as close to the ground as possible was considered a clear sign of high status. As one climbed the stairs, the height of the ceilings rapidly and noticeably decreased. The apartments became increasingly cramped, dark, and unbearably stuffy. The poorest sections of the Roman population were forced to huddle together on the uppermost levels. The heat under the scorching tile roof during the summer months was simply exhausting. The complete absence of elevators made life at height a harsh daily physical ordeal. Climbing to the 7th floor on foot replaced any grueling modern workout. Modern fitness trainers would definitely approve of such intense cardio workouts, but it brought no joy to the ancient workers who were exhausted after their shifts. The main reason for this strange pricing was basic physical safety. Ancient high-rise buildings burst into flames at the slightest spark, like dry matches. Wooden floors and an abundance of open flames created ideal conditions for disaster. And in the event of a fire, the upper residents had almost no chance of escape. Roman professional firefighting teams, known as vigils, did everything they could. However, their primitive technical equipment did not allow them to extinguish flames at high altitudes. Water pumps and ladders simply could not reach the upper floors of the giant insulae. The inhabitants of wooden attics were guaranteed to find themselves in a deadly fire trap. That is why the first, safest floor was so incredibly expensive. At the first sign of any danger, wealthy tenants could instantly go out into the street. The poor people under the roof could only hope for a miracle or jump. The risk to life was literally and directly converted into a substantial discount on rent. Apartments on the top floors often did not even have their own interior walls. They were simply cramped, fabric partitioned cubicles under the roof. They completely lacked normal lighting and any kind of proper ventilation. Physical survival in such harsh conditions required enormous endurance. It sounds like a description of a maximum security prison cell, not legal housing. But for tens of thousands of people, it was the only shelter available. Every evening, they returned to these cramped stone ovens after exhausting work. And there, another serious domestic problem inevitably awaited them. Organizing basic nutrition in such cramped conditions was a separate challenge. For most residents of the insulae, it was physically impossible to cook hot meals at home. Modern studios without kitchens seemed to be a fashionable design trend among young people. The Romans practiced this ascetic approach solely because of strict fire safety measures. It is impossible to imagine a modern, comfortable apartment without a cozy, functional kitchen. In ancient Roman multi-story insulae, the presence of such a specialized room was a rare exception. The apartments of ordinary working-class citizens almost never had safe places for cooking. This seems like a strange restriction, but the logic of the engineers was absolutely ironclad. Lighting an open fire in a wooden and brick high-rise building was a direct path to disaster. A small accidental spark could guarantee the destruction of an entire city block in a matter of hours. Therefore, landlords categorically and strictly forbade tenants from using any stoves. Violation of this strict rule was immediately punished by immediate eviction onto the street. Rich, spacious apartments on the first floors sometimes still had small stone hearths. But even there, regular cooking was considered a very risky activity. Thick stone walls did not protect the entire building from heavy smoke. Ventilation systems in ancient times were far from engineering perfection. This raises a perfectly reasonable logical question about how a city of millions fed itself. The solution was found in the form of a large-scale ancient analog of the fast food industry. The vast majority of Romans ate daily at local cheap street eateries. These popular establishments were called thermopolia and were located literally on every corner. Thermopolia were sturdy stone counters with built-in deep jugs. These ceramic containers were used to store and heat hot food and drinks. Customers could get a hearty, nutritious meal in just a couple of minutes. In essence, it was classic, incredibly efficient ancient fast food. The menu at these establishments consisted of extremely simple but very high-calorie dishes. Cooks served thick lentil soups, stewed tough meat, local cheese, and hot wine with spices. The food was very inexpensive and affordable for the average Roman worker. Townspeople ate their meals on the go or standing at a stone counter. Today, archaeologists often find well-preserved thermopolia during large-scale excavations. Their bright wall frescoes and stone counters look surprisingly modern and recognizable. The owners of the snack bars used aggressive visual marketing, generously decorating their establishments with drawings of food. Competition in the ancient street food market was incredibly fierce and ruthless. The complete absence of home kitchens radically changed the entire social structure of Roman life. Daily meals went from being a family ritual to a mass public event. People actively socialized, exchanged the latest news and gossip at hot food stalls. The noisy street completely replaced the traditional home dining table. This ingenious solution significantly reduced the number of accidental domestic fires in the city. Delegating dangerous cooking to professional chefs proved to be a brilliant engineering and social move. The street food system worked flawlessly and efficiently for many centuries. The inhabitants of the insula ate on the noisy streets and froze in their cramped rooms during the cold winter. The life of the ruling elite in their luxurious domus was completely different in every respect. Wealthy citizens were completely independent of street vendors and the vagaries of harsh weather. They actively used the most advanced climate control engineering technologies. The winter months on the Apennine Peninsula can be quite cold and damp. Thick stone walls cool quickly and turn large living rooms into ice caves. But the wealthy patricians did not suffer from the cold in their monumental mansions. They used an amazing and extremely complex engineering design for effective heating. This advanced heating technology and architecture was officially called Hippocaust. Technically speaking, it was the world's first full-scale underfloor and wall heating system. Modern builders rightly consider integrated underfloor heating to be a sign of high-end renovation. Roman engineers used this complex system extensively and successfully 2,000 years ago. The construction of a reliable Hippocaust required the highest mathematical precision. The heavy stone floor of the room did not lie directly on the ground, but was specially raised. It rested on hundreds of small, perfectly even brick pillars. A free airspace was artificially created between the floor and the ground. A special, powerful wood-burning stove was installed in a deep basement or adjacent utility room. Specially trained, hardy slave stokers monitored its smooth operation around the clock. Hot air and smoke from the stove were directed straight into the space under the floor. In this way, the thick stone floor was slowly and evenly heated from below. But the genius of ancient architects and designers went even further than warm floors. Special hollow ceramic pipes were laid in the thick load-bearing walls of the mansions. Hot air rose from under the floor through these hidden vertical voids. The room was gently heated from all sides at once, creating a perfect microclimate. Modern metal radiators often dry out the air and heat the room extremely unevenly. The ancient Hippocaust system provided gentle, stable, and comfortable heat throughout the entire large room. Ceramics and stone were excellent at physically storing energy and took a very long time to cool down. It was a true fail-safe masterpiece of practical thermodynamics in action. The smooth operation of such a system required a huge daily consumption of fuel. Huge amounts of high-quality wood were burned every day to maintain the desired temperature. That is why the complex Hippocaust always remained the privilege of exclusively wealthy citizens. Ordinary people in cold insulae could only dream of such incredible comfort. The operation of a powerful furnace required constant, competent, and careful technical control. An excessively strong open fire could heat the stone floors of the room to dangerous temperatures. Residents would literally have to walk around their own homes wearing shoes with thick wooden soles. The engineering of comfort required flawless control of heat flows. The remains of these impressive heating systems are still often found in the ruins of villas. Identical brick columns stand in neat rows, demonstrating the mathematical precision of ancient builders. This is clear material evidence of how advanced ancient technical thought was. Warmth and physical comfort were important, but not the only indicators of status. The main architectural element that publicly demonstrated wealth was the layout of the domus itself. At the heart of any luxurious ancient mansion was one special central room, and its ingenious design definitely deserves special attention. The interior architecture of a wealthy Roman house was always strictly built around one main space. This key place was the atrium, the huge ceremonial central hall of the mansion. It was a kind of architectural face of the owner and the main official reception room for guests. Its incredible decoration was used to judge the wealth and political influence of the entire family. The basic structure of the atrium itself is striking in its thoughtful and elegant engineering logic. The hall was a huge open space with a rectangular opening directly in the roof. This specially designed opening in architecture was called a compluvium. Through it, bright natural sunlight penetrated the dark enclosed stone building. In the ancient world, without powerful electric lamps, the issue of quality lighting was extremely acute. The compluvium functioned as a giant, free natural light source right in the center of the huge house. It allowed for significant savings in expensive purified oil for lamps during the daytime. Architects skillfully and precisely controlled the flow of light in luxurious interiors. But this opening in the roof had another critically important function. During rainfall, clean rainwater flowed freely into the house through it. In hot climates where droughts are common, fresh water was of enormous physical value, and ingenious engineers turned an ordinary roof into an effective water collection system. Directly below the open compluvium in the floor was a special, beautifully designed shallow pool. It was called an impluvium and it was an important part of the house's hydraulic system. During rain, water flowed from the sloping tiled roof directly into this reservoir. It sounds incredibly simple, but this mechanism worked flawlessly for centuries. Water from the open pool flowed through hidden lead pipes into a deep underground cistern. There it was naturally purified, settled, and safely stored for the family's domestic needs. In this way, the private house was transformed into an autonomous life support fortress. Modern advanced eco-architects are only now returning en masse to similar concepts of precipitation collection. The water accumulated in the impluvium also played a vital climatic role in the room. On hot summer days, the moisture evaporating from the pool pleasantly cooled the dry air in the hall. It was a kind of ancient air conditioner, operating exclusively on the basic laws of physics. Here, engineering once again served to maximize the comfort of the wealthy and influential citizens. Visually, the front atrium was always decorated with the utmost, overwhelming luxury. Expensive bronze statues and carved marble columns were symmetrically arranged around the pool. In this huge hall, the owner received his numerous clients and business partners every day. The space was designed to literally overwhelm visitors with its splendor and scale. Special cabinets with wax masks of ancestors often stood along the stone walls of the atrium. This visually emphasized the antiquity of the owner's family and its historical significance for the empire. The house served not only as comfortable living quarters, but also as a powerful tool of political propaganda. Every architectural detail worked to enhance the impeccable reputation of its owner. Light, water, and luxurious, expensive finishes made the atrium an absolute architectural masterpiece. However, keeping heat in such a huge, semi-open space presented obvious difficulties. This logically leads to another interesting technical detail of ancient life. The Romans solved the problem of closing window openings in a special and very pragmatic way. Modern expensive houses consist of huge glass panoramas that let in maximum light. Ancient buildings looked more like deaf, impregnable stone fortresses. The use of transparent glass in mass construction was extremely specific and limited. The huge transparent windows we are used to remained an unattainable rarity for a long time. The ancient craftsmen of that time were masters of glass production technology. They created elegant colored jugs, fragile bowls, and incredibly beautiful decorations. But casting a large, smooth, and completely transparent window pane was an extremely difficult task. The technology simply did not allow for the mass production of flat panels of the required size. Early window glass was very thick, cloudy, and had a strange greenish tint. It let in dim, distorted light, but it was completely impossible to see the street through it. In addition, the production of such a complex material cost astronomical amounts of money. Therefore, real glass was installed only in the main halls of the most luxurious imperial villas. Most ordinary townspeople solved the problem of protection from wind and cold in a completely different way. Ordinary windows in insulae and middle-class houses were closed with sturdy, massive wooden shutters. During the day, they were opened wide to ventilate and provide natural lighting for the dark rooms. At night or in severe weather, the shutters were tightly locked with heavy iron bolts. It doesn't sound very comfortable because tightly closed shutters plunge the room into complete darkness. Sometimes, instead of wood, thick curtains made of animal skins were hung on the windows. This reliably protected against drafts, but completely and uncompromisingly blocked the sun's rays. Living in such a dark apartment required the use of a huge number of smoky oil lamps. Wealthy citizens were constantly looking for compromises between light and heat. In rich houses, they often used an amazing natural material that is forgotten today instead of glass. Window openings were covered with thin, translucent plates made of a mineral called mica. This layered stone easily and evenly split into the thinnest luminous sheets. Mica windows let in soft, pleasantly diffused light and provided excellent protection from the wind. This natural material was significantly cheaper than glass, but still required a significant investment. The use of purified mica became a popular architectural trend among the Roman aristocracy. Engineers created very elegant and durable bronze frames for such plates. The extremely limited use of transparent glass made interiors quite dark and gloomy. Light was literally worth its weight in gold, so the layout of houses was strictly inward-facing. Windows rarely faced the noisy street for obvious security reasons. The whole life of the family was concentrated around the inner courtyard and open atrium. Only at the very end of the empire did Roman glass-making technology become much more sophisticated. Cloudy glass began to slowly appear in public baths and the wealthiest insulae. But for the vast majority of the population, wooden shutters remained the only reliable option. Harsh economic conditions dictated strict rules of domestic economy. Closed shutters and a complete lack of normal ventilation exacerbated another problem. Dense, multi-level urban development required incredibly high-quality waste disposal. Famous ancient engineering was rightly renowned for its monumental aqueducts and drains. But access to these sanitary benefits was distributed extremely unevenly throughout society. The engineering greatness of ancient civilization is often associated with its incredible water supply system. The famous Great Cloaca is still rightly considered a masterpiece of ancient underground construction. This gigantic arch system efficiently and quickly drained sewage directly into the Tiber River. However, not all residents of the city had direct access to this marvel of engineering. Modern apartment complexes are connected to central sanitation systems by default. In the ancient metropolis of millions, private domestic sewage systems were considered a sign of incredible luxury. Only large public complexes and huge baths were directly connected to the spacious underground pipes. The private residential sector was served by completely different, much stricter rules. Only the most elite patrician mansions had legal direct access to the city network. The owners of such houses paid huge annual taxes for the right to use these pipes. They had luxurious stone toilets, continuously flushed with running water from aqueducts. This was the absolute highest level of sanitary comfort for that historical period. Residents of the first, most prestigious floors of wealthy insulae were also sometimes lucky with utilities. Their spacious rooms could be directly connected to the central city sewer. But at this basic level, the engineering comfort of giant apartment buildings ended completely. Heavy lead pipes never rose above the first level due to a lack of sufficient pressure. The inhabitants of the upper floors faced incredibly harsh sanitary conditions on a daily basis. Their cramped, stuffy apartments had neither running water nor drainage. Ordinary large ceramic pots were widely used for natural needs, and the process of disposing of the foul-smelling contents of these pots was a huge citywide problem. According to strict rules, the foul-smelling waste had to be taken to special, large street reservoirs. But no one wanted to climb down the steep, dark staircase from the 6th floor. Therefore, the contents of the night pots were often poured directly from the windows onto the stone pavement with impunity. Walking under the walls of tall, crowded insulae required caution and quick reflexes. The city authorities constantly and unsuccessfully fought against this terrible, unsanitary habit. There were strict written laws and huge fines for damaging the clothes of random passers-by. Lawyers of the time seriously dealt with complex cases of compensation for soiled togas. But it was physically impossible to stop this natural process in a city of millions. To be fair, the lack of home amenities was perfectly compensated for by public toilets. They were built of expensive marble and could easily accommodate dozens of people at a time. There was always clean running water and surprisingly comfortable conditions for visitors. Visiting such places was absolutely commonplace and even had a peculiar social character. The absence of complex wet communications within the walls of the insula made construction itself significantly cheaper. Engineers did not have to pull heavy, fragile pipes through unreliable wooden floors. This significantly reduced the risk of leaks and sudden collapses in fragile, high-rise buildings. Rigid pragmatism once again easily prevailed over the natural need for individual comfort. Inside the apartments on the upper floors, there was not only no water supply, but also no familiar items. Upon entering the room of an ordinary ancient citizen, a modern person would be greatly surprised by the emptiness. The interior space was organized according to a completely different, unfamiliar logic. The residents' main expenses were spent far from wooden household items. The interiors of the vast majority of ancient dwellings would cause a slight shock to a modern person. People today are used to rooms filled with massive wardrobes, shelves, and dressers. Roman living quarters would seem incredibly empty, echoey, and too ascetic. The very concept of storing and warehousing personal belongings was very different from today's. Ancient talented carpenters knew how to create truly amazing wooden products, but good wooden furniture cost a fortune because of the complex manual work involved. Therefore, most ordinary families limited themselves to the minimum set of necessary items. Hard beds, small lightweight tables, and a couple of chests. That was the entire furnishings of an apartment. Massive vertical wardrobes for clothes simply did not exist in ancient times. Things were carefully stored in sturdy wooden or wicker chests against the walls. This allowed for the effective use of precious living space in the extremely cramped rooms of the insula. The philosophy of absolute minimalism was not a fashionable choice, but a harsh necessity of life. The complete absence of bulky cabinets was compensated for by the stunning attention paid to the surfaces of the room. Instead of buying wooden shelves, the Romans actively invested in finishing. Smooth walls and even floors became the main elements of expensive interior design. High-quality plaster became a truly durable canvas for professional artists. Even in very modest apartments, the walls were often decorated with bright frescoes. Masters skillfully painted false open windows, marble columns, or complex architectural perspectives. This visually expanded the cramped space of the room, creating optical illusions. Art elegantly solved the psychological problems of the inhabitants of cramped, closed apartments. In rich, spacious houses, the decoration reached unimaginable heights of visual splendor. The floors were painstakingly laid with intricate mosaics made of thousands of tiny colored stones. The subjects of these mosaics were astonishingly diverse, ranging from mythological scenes to realistic still lifes with seafood. These stone carpets served reliably for centuries and did not require vacuuming at all. The bright colors for the expensive frescoes were created from rare natural minerals. The use of the famous red color, cinnabar, eloquently spoke of the colossal wealth of the owner. The walls literally screamed about the high status of the family, much better than any designer furniture. The room could be completely empty, but it was worth millions of sesterces. The rare furniture in wealthy homes was made of expensive bronze and the rarest woods. Elegant three-legged tables and luxurious banquet beds, clini, looked like works of art, but their number in the halls always remained strictly limited and minimal. Spaciousness and clean air in the room were valued much more highly than a silly accumulation of things. This unusual emptiness had a purely practical, pragmatic, climatic justification. Fewer pieces of furniture meant significantly fewer problems with insects and ubiquitous dust. In the harsh conditions of a hot climate, spacious empty rooms were much better ventilated and cooled. Comfort engineering worked at the level of competent planning and volume management. The architecture of these amazing houses concealed another interesting economic feature. The facades of luxurious villas rarely looked dull, inaccessible, and quiet. The owners of elite real estate were excellent businessmen and never missed out on financial gain. They masterfully and cynically combined elite housing with noisy street commerce. In modern dense development, the ground floor of a residential complex is always given over to business. Cozy coffee shops, bright pharmacies, and small grocery supermarkets open there en masse. Surprisingly, this effective model was not invented by modern cunning developers. Ancient Roman landowners actively used this same approach 2,000 years ago. The owners of elite marble mansions very rarely left their facade walls blank. Urban land along busy streets was incredibly expensive and had to generate income. Therefore, the part of the house facing the noisy road was completely converted into commercial real estate. Experienced architects included special isolated rooms in their designs in advance. These small rooms had wide-open exits directly onto the paved sidewalk. They were officially called taverns and were profitably rented to local merchants and craftsmen. Inside the taberna, there was usually a rickety wooden staircase leading to a tiny mezzanine floor. There, the poor shop owner could spend the night after an incredibly long working day. The assortment of such street establishments was striking in its colorful diversity. In one taberna, hot bread could be baked. In the next, sandals could be noisily sewn. And in the third, wine could be sold. Work went on non-stop from early morning until late sunset. The loud noise of hammers and the cries of barkers were a constant background noise in the capital. The obvious paradox lay in the incredible social contrast of this urban phenomenon. The owner of a luxurious domus could relax peacefully in his quiet marble atrium, and literally through the thick wall, A blacksmith loudly struck an anvil with a heavy hammer. The insane commercial benefits forced the pampered aristocracy to put up with such noisy neighbors. The income from renting out numerous tabernae often covered the costs of maintaining a huge house. It was an incredibly stable, straightforward, and very profitable ancient business. Tenants held on tightly to their well-established places for decades, passing the business on to their heirs. A good location was absolutely everything, just as it is in modern trade. From the street, such an elite mansion looked completely unpresentable and even chaotic. Passers-by saw only an endless, colorful row of noisy and dusty retail outlets. The main entrance to the house was usually modestly hidden between two such shops. The true architectural beauty was revealed only to guests who crossed the coveted threshold. The same mixed system was used in the construction of giant multi-story insults. The entire perimeter of the first floor of any apartment building was always strictly reserved for business. This created an incredibly dense, active, and self-sufficient urban economic environment. The streets were real living organisms, constantly pulsating with small trade. Architects masterfully and seamlessly integrated commercial spaces directly into residential structures. Massive stone walls reliably and soundly isolated the inner courtyards from the chaos of the streets. This ancient model of mixed-use development brilliantly proved its incredible economic efficiency, and it is used virtually unchanged in the most modern urban planning. The engineering of the ancient metropolis combined housing, aggressive business, and survival into a single monolithic system. Houses were always built with a strict focus on maximum practicality and economic benefit. Aesthetics always went hand in hand with the harsh reality of an overpopulated city, and it was these harsh principles that forever shaped the appearance of the imperial capital. The architecture of the ancient metropolis demonstrates a truly astonishing level of engineering thought. Ancient builders successfully solved the most complex problems in conditions of acute space shortage. Their methods of working with heavy materials, light and heat command sincere respect. Modern science has repeatedly confirmed the genius of these ancient calculations. The principles of competent zoning and real estate economics were well understood by people 2,000 years ago. The problems of terrible overpopulation were solved very harshly, but incredibly pragmatically and effectively. The city's infrastructure was an incredibly complex mechanism operating at the limits of human capabilities. The forgotten harsh technologies of the past often turn out to be the invisible foundation of modern everyday comfort. A deep study of these ancient structures provides the key to understanding the entire history of human survival. The knowledge hidden in ancient ruins proves that human intelligence always finds a way out of a dead end.